Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends, Corey Fiescanaro.
Hey, everybody.
Kathy Whirling.
Hi, everybody.
Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
And our producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Oh, hoy, hoy.
And just a reminder, this show, along with all the content we produce, brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. Experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. If you like our content, if you like to show your support for our team, a great way to do that is by supporting our sponsors, including Dreams Unlimited Travel. So please book your next Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney vacation with Dreams, DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. Now, you will notice I did not open this show by saying that we are live, because we are not. We are actually pre-recording this the day before you see it, because I have a scheduling conflict tomorrow, and I really wanted to be here for this show because we have to talk about Reedy Creek, right? We have to talk about it. It's too big a story to wait till next week. So I decided we would go ahead and pre-record today so that I could be here for it, because both Fiasco and I need to be somewhere tomorrow. So let's do that. Let's talk about what's going on with Reedy Creek. Now, first, I'm going to start out by saying this. I am going to avoid politics as much as humanly possible in this discussion. I'm going to avoid it as much as humanly possible, but there's only so much avoiding I can do, because this is a political issue. All gaslighting aside, this is politics in its basest form. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with something I read on Facebook by Nick Papantonis from WFTV News here in Orlando. He posted something that I thought was the most concise and insightful explanation of what is going on. So bear with me, folks. I'm going to read this verbatim. There's a lot of misinformation and confusion about what the end of Disney's Reedy Creek District means for the company and for taxpayers. Here's what I know after talking to lobbyists, lawyers, and tax officials. For those of you who haven't heard, Reedy Creek is the special tax district of Walt Disney World. It's essentially its own city. Disney pays taxes to Reedy Creek, which operates a fire department, planning department, sewer treatment plant, and public works department. Disney controls Reedy Creek, which means if they want to build a new hotel or a new highway, they just have to ask themselves for permission. The biggest loss here for Disney is the end of that control. It's a lot easier to ask yourself for permission than to go to the county. While they already follow all laws and building codes, and they'll still get everything they want, it's going to slow the process down. Potholes might develop on roads that they no longer pave themselves. They can't just call a meeting or alter their comprehensive plan on a random Friday. They also can't quickly finance new projects like a new fire station. The bigger issue for everyone else is the tax revenue. Disney already pays the same local property taxes as every other landowner. Reedy Creek added its own tax on top of that to pay for its projects. That tax, $163 million per year, is illegal outside the district. When Reedy Creek goes away, that tax goes away, and Orange and Osceola counties can't do anything to get it back. However, the counties will now be responsible for all the services Reedy Creek provides and all the debt it has accumulated. They can't raise sales taxes or impact fees. So the counties will have to raise property taxes to make up the difference. They must tax every property equally, not just Disney. And therefore, it's expected that property taxes in Orange County could rise as much as 25% next June. 25%. Osceola, much smaller and less wealthy, is still working on its figures. Lawyers largely agree that the state followed all the laws while doing this. They agree Disney may sue, but probably doesn't have much ground to stand on. Some believe a vote of residents or delegates from the district is required to make this legal. That doesn't appear to be the case here because a vote was never held to implement the district 55 years ago. Essentially, Disney will lose some control of its property and will get a $163 million a year tax break and have $1 billion of debt passed on to taxpayers. Some things will be negotiated. Disney still controls Bay Lake and Lake Buena Vista, two actual towns within Reedy Creek Improvement District. Lawmakers might backtrack from this plan during the next session now that they're starting to realize what they've done. However, aside from maybe taking away the company's ability to build a nuclear power plant, we've yet to hear how this benefits Florida and especially the local residents in any way. The residents, by the way, had no say in this vote, no say in their property taxes going through the roof, and no desire to have their communities staring at financial ruin thanks to 72 hours of orchestrated revenge. Now, those are the words of Nick Papantonis from WFTV. I agree, because that's exactly what this was. It was political revenge. Disney said something the governor didn't like. And as a result, they're punishing Disney they're punishing all the residents of Orange and Osceola County, of which I'm one. We all are. They're punishing us. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. I really do want to stress this. This is all not hyperbole. This is all hypothesis. We're guessing at what may happen. But I'm going to take a slightly different tact here in what I think the next step is going to be. Disney will respond to this. Disney will respond to this. And the response isn't going to be a lawsuit. They're going to challenge this in federal court. And here's why I think they're going to do this on constitutional grounds. Citizens United, that Supreme Court case, held that corporations could spend basically unlimited money on political campaigns, that it was a form of free speech, thereby holding that corporations were people too, and they enjoyed constitutional protections like freedom of speech. Disney is being punished for something it said. It's being punished by a government for something it said. This isn't Twitter shutting down a former president. That's a private enterprise. This is a government attacking one of its citizens because it didn't like something they said and punishing them for it. I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know my ass from a hole in the wall when it comes to a courtroom, thankfully. But from where I sit, I think this is the best approach Disney could take. I think this is the best approach Disney could take.
From a local's perspective, what this screams to me is just straight up taxation without representation. I mean, that's what it is. We're talking about a 25% bump in the next year for something that we don't get a say on. And I understand the argument that Reedy Creek was established over 50 years ago without a vote, but when that happened, it was surrounded by swamps and orange groves. Now, Florida, specifically Central Florida, is the hottest place for people are moving to, and tons of people are living here, and it's not surrounded by swamps and orange groves anymore. It's surrounded by residences. So to just say, hey, all you people who live here and make up this state, you're going to now pay 25% more in property taxes in the coming years. I'm not an expert at this law either, but it seems pretty straight, cut and dry. You're saying you're going to tax me 25% more with no representation. We have no say about it at all. And I just think that's ridiculous. So from a local's perspective too, I think people should be throwing a fit over that.
Well, once the tax bill comes, they will. Right now, it's all just, it's not real, right? Because we haven't been handed this alleged potential tax bill, which may never materialize. The next session of the legislature, as he said, could walk this back. Let's be clear about this, and this is where I'm going to thread the needle. Our governor is running for re-election at the end of this year. Our governor is considered a front runner, or not a front runner. Our governor is considered a likely candidate for president in 2024. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what this is about. National exposure. What does somebody in Iowa know about Ron DeSantis? Now, they know a little bit more. And if you're inclined toward one side of the political spectrum, this story speaks to you. The reasoning behind this story speaks to you. And as a result, you may have a favorable impression of Ron DeSantis in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, in Illinois, in places where it's important to have name recognition. And that, in my opinion, is what this is really, really about. I'm not going to get into the bill that started all this. I'm not going to get into the merits or demerits of that bill. I'm talking about this particular issue here. And I'm going to tell you what. Politically, it was a masterstroke by Ron DeSantis. An absolute masterstroke. Every newspaper, every news organization. This wasn't a one and done story. This is being talked about every day. And it's being talked about all across the spectrum. Whether you're the New York Post or the New York Times.
Everybody's a Disney expert now. It's like everything you look at, everybody's got an opinion on it or they're reporting on it, which is that a good thing? I mean, even for Disney, is that a good thing that their name's getting out there, or is...
Well, this has always been the case. If the headline has the word Disney in the title, it's going to get traction.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And you're right. Everybody's presenting as an expert on Disney. But let's remember the reason this district was created in the first place. It was so that the taxpayers weren't paying for Disney to build theme parks, for Disney to build roads, for Disney to build the things it likes to build, that it needs to build to grow its business.
That people want it to build too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But the taxpayers shouldn't be responsible for paying for that.
Right.
No.
Okay? Disney wants to put up a new hotel. Great. That's great for the local economy. Mm-hmm. It's great for everybody in Central Florida. Central Florida exists because of Disney. Central Florida exists because of Disney. Mm-hmm. It is a juggernaut. Largest single site employer in the United States. 50,000+ people work there. Generates incredible revenue for this state in taxes, in tourism. But this district was created so that we weren't subsidizing a private company like that. And guess what? If this is allowed to go through, we're subsidizing a private company. And I take exception to that as an Orange County resident. These are my property taxes that may go up. These are my property. So those of us who live here, we have a right to an opinion on this.
And it gets even more ridiculous than that, because when it comes to us as locals, we're Disney fans. We go there, we use their products and services, and we pay for it. But there are people who live here in Central Florida that don't care about Disney. They don't go to Disney at all. And now they're going, it's over $1 billion in tax debt that would be put off likely to the residents of Orange and Osceola County. And like it's about a bit over $2,000 a pop. But just to think of it, like some of these residents who don't even take part in Walt Disney World and go there and eat at their restaurants, go to their resorts, go to their theme parks, are now also going to be on the hook for that tax jump. That's going to it's so messed up. Like I don't even see if it is legal for them to do that, then obviously that part of the law is broken.
And you think of all the cast members now that, that have a house that are barely making it now, and now they're going to have to pay extra.
Yeah.
Now, and again, I want to be clear. We really don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the impact of this is going to be yet. This story, this is the first chapter in this story, not the last one. Now, let's take a slightly different approach to this discussion, because I think it bears discussion. How badly has Bob Chapek screwed up here?
I mean, unless he fixes this situation, I imagine he will no longer be with the company. Right? That's all I can think.
Okay, now, I'm going to tell you what. If the end result of this is that Bob Chapek is thrown out in his ass, I'll take the 25% increase in my property taxes. I will gladly pay an additional 25% to get rid of Bob Chapek. But he has bungled this from the beginning. Now, if you want to know what he should do, if you're watching, Bob, get up, walk down the hall to Josh's office, Josh tomorrow, and say, Josh, help. Because Josh, on a much smaller scale, albeit, when Disneyland ran afoul of the Anaheim City Council, and it cost the president of Disneyland his position. They brought Josh in, made Josh president of Disneyland. He had that problem dispatched with in a matter of months. He had that problem dispatched with. He's a natural politician. Chapek, they need to bind and gag him, throw him in a closet, and let Josh be the face of this now. That's somebody who can navigate political waters. Chapek clearly cannot.
I hope so. I mean, I've gotten to meet Josh tomorrow, and I think the world of him. And when you see him, he presents very nicely. He has empathy towards people. Bob Chapek, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt and know that he's now the head of the company, so he had to do something one way or the other. But there was no feeling, no.
Let's be clear though, and I'm going to take some heat for this, and I'm all right with that. His initial political instinct was to shut up and say nothing, and had he done that, we wouldn't be here. He bowed to pressure. He bowed to pressure from inside and outside Disney to take a stand on this bill. I'm not saying right or wrong here. Listen to me. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying what happened. Had he followed his instincts and not said anything, they wouldn't be in this position.
They did listen to what people wanted them to do, and that's the difference between the two people. That's all, that is my personal feeling on it. That's all I'm going to say. And
I'm speaking as a gay man.
Yeah.
All right? I'm speaking as an openly gay man. The bill in question didn't affect any of the employees of the Walt Disney Company. Okay? This was about schools. Now, I disagree with the bill. I disagree with the bill vehemently. But there are a number of laws that are passed in Tallahassee that are controversial, that never get so much as a peep from Disney. If this was a bill that was directly targeting people that work for Disney, I can understand Disney stepping up and saying something. But it didn't. Now, personally, do I think he should have said something? Yes. Do I think he should have said something right away? Yes, I do. I think he did more damage making it appear that he had to be pressured to say something. I think he did more damage to himself, to the image of the company. He's not being seen.
Well, it doesn't come off sincere, obviously.
No. I don't believe there's a sincere bone in the man's body. But it's easy to villainize DeSantis in this discussion. But it's unfair to not shine a light on Chapek and Chapek's role in this. And does anybody really believe that if Bob Iger was still in charge, this is how this would have been handled? I am convinced now that the only reason Iger put Chapek forward to succeed him is to make him look good.
I have to say this before you go on. Sorry. There was a similar situation to this that did happen while Iger was in charge, and it was in Georgia. And they did speak up and they did say something, and they were able to change how it went. So that's the thing, is that like Iger does actually have a history of saying it. And I know he spoke out about it and he's no longer connected, so it doesn't matter what he said anyways at this point, right? Because he's just a rich loon somewhere. But like, it's like, they did already stop some legislation from happening in Georgia because they are also like one of the largest, the film studios. Everything is filmed there right now. And so they said, like, if you do this, we're going to have to pull out all this business because it's not fair to the people that have to work here and need to make a living and stuff like that. So I don't know what he would have done in this case, but he has spoken about stuff before. But it was a smaller thing. Yeah,
but it was also, there's a situation where a law that was directly affecting their employees, their cast members, they were speaking up against. They, to a degree, took the bait. Ron DeSantis wanted a battle, a social battle, and Disney gave it to him. And gave him tremendous press among the people that are going to vote in a Republican primary for president. Ron DeSantis' stock just went through the roof.
You know, the thing that's sad, since the podcast a couple weeks ago where this was discussed, I've heard from family and friends that I had to defend the Walt Disney Company over all of this, that they've been on the fringes, like they know that I'm into Disney. And it's, did you see what Disney did or what they want to do? And it's like, come on, people. How many years have I been around Disney now? I don't think Disney corporate policy as to what they do and to who they give, except for this state money, they've tried to help an awful lot of people. Their programming helps an awful lot of people. And yet I hear from people going, did you see what Disney did? Like all of a sudden now Disney's a bad thing. And it's like, it breaks my heart. I don't understand.
Yeah.
When you look around and see all the good that Disney has done, and one man started this campaign, and Disney, of course, did handle it badly, but you can't throw Walt Disney out because of what happened.
Well, here's the kicker. We've talked on the show before about how broken Walt Disney PR is right now. How just incredibly inept and incompetent their PR department is at the corporate level. You're right, Kathy. The amount of money they donate, the amount of work they do in the community is absolutely unbelievable. They are above reproach when it comes to that. And if I was their PR department, I'd be touting an awful lot of what we do for this community. I'm not just talking about the gay and lesbian community. I'm talking about this community, how much they do. But Bob Chapek, when he took over, decided he wanted his people around him. And they suck at their job. They suck at their job. Plain and simple. And this, 25 years I'm doing this. This is the biggest, can't use the word I want to use, cluster. That's half the word. This is the biggest cluster I've ever seen.
But, last week when you were, or whatever week it was, and you were saying about people need to speak up and say things, where are all the Disney fans with all of this going on? I've heard from people on the fringes of Disney that don't understand us, that love it. Where's the rest of us? I know this is like a bad time because things are happening in the park. I think everybody knows I'm a big Disney fan. But
no.
Galloping
shock.
I want to get out there and say, I still believe in the dreams, that dreams can come true.
The optimism.
Yes. That, there's still magic around every corner. They do great things. I watch their programming. I think it's great. I think I need to speak up as a person and say, okay, this stuff is happening over here, but take a good, long, hard look at what all Walt Disney has done for all of us. That they made a misstep here, but you can't, you can, I don't even want to say you can overlook it, but look at all the good that they did.
Right. I think you said it earlier, Pete, about Central Florida wouldn't exist without them. And yeah. I say it to anybody all the time where I'm like, I think it would still be underdeveloped at this point. That but also look at we all live there. Kathy, stuck in traffic on the way here. We look at the infrastructure problems that suffer from outside of Disney. And I always say to myself, gosh, like Disney's been here for, 50 years at this point, 50 going on 51 years here, that I can't believe that the roadways are only where they're at right now. But think about what it would be without it. Who would have? I mean, something else might have come here, something else might have built here, but probably wouldn't have Universal Studios. All these other parks that kind of came from it too, and it just wouldn't be what it is. So I think there is that angle of it, like you've already said about it is They should be doing that. They should be saying, like, look what we've done for the community. Look how we started here. Look how we developed this. This is the history. Not everybody knows that as freely anymore. Like, I know everybody says, well, he came and he bought all these things for the land and all that stuff. But, like, tell me more. Like, what was it like as you went through? What did we do? How has Disney kind of reinvested in this, in the city that it's in? Because, again, to repeat it, it is the largest employer of these people in Central Florida. And so I'd like to see more of that, like more of it being like, how have we made this a better place? And I think that's important. But, like, they're not saying any of that right now. So it is weird.
Yeah,
it's very silent.
and look, I have a lot of respect for doing charitable work and not using it as PR fodder.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they need to be doing something in the PR department right now. They need to be doing something because they just don't look good. They don't look good.
It feels almost like it's intentionally bad. And I look at this situation right now with Reedy Creek as just kind of separate to the other things that have been going on. It's kind of an outlier. It's kind of like bullying. It doesn't make any sense. I don't see how this could possibly happen. And if it's legal, it just blows my mind that it's legal. But as far as all the other things that have been going on aside from this in the parks, where we're going to take stuff away from you and you're going to pay more for it. The way everything was handled with cast members are getting furloughed.
So maybe this is a little bit of karma.
Maybe it is. Because like I have pulled up on my page right now. So how many cast members did you furlough? How many projects did you can or postpone? All the while doubling executive salaries. Bob Chapek made $2.3 million the year that all these cast members were in limbo, that are living probably paycheck to paycheck. He's definitely not, but he's going to take a double boost in what he makes while cutting projects, while ending jobs, while furloughing people, being like, I don't know when you're going to be back. It's that. And then on top of that being like, oh, remember fast passes? We're going to take that away and we're going to rebrand it to this garbage system that you're also going to have to pay for, and it's going to work worse than fast pass did, and while raising prices everywhere else. And it's ridiculous. Like,
well, I think also what you're saying too is, like, since they have spoken about all this stuff, it's been like radio silent. So it's like, it again feels like they haven't settled on where they wanted to. So I'm like, well, you said something, so maybe you should commit to what you actually said and just go full force into that. Or just say, hey, we're going to go the other way, and then just commit to something.
Yeah, they look weak.
Yeah.
They look weak and ineffective because under this leadership, they are in fact weak and ineffective.
Well, they had somebody from Reedy Creek, the fire department, and all of those people stand to lose their jobs when this happens. And having lived with a cast member that was laid off through all of that, it's horrible. And Katie was in a better place than a lot of cast members were. But just imagine now, you still have to go and respond to emergencies and things, and you don't know if next year this is all going to be sorted out and you're still going to have a job. So what do? Somebody has to say something. Somebody has to do something and get back to, Disney doing what Disney does.
Well, I think Disney is going to have to respond. They're going to have to respond. They're going to have to respond in a very loud voice, in a very public way. And it's going to have to be a response that has a chance of actually affecting a change. That's why I think the only way they do that is a constitutional challenge to this. I think that is going to get people's attention.
And they can keep their head held high with that one. If they start going in and saying, well, we're going to take away your money, and, we gave contributions, like if they start to get like down in the dirt, like I think.
And I'll be honest with you, I think that is probably big part of the reason why this is going on, why legislators in the State House approved it in the first place. Because Disney turned around and said, you know what? All the money's drying up. We're not making any more political donations in Florida. I'm sorry. The only reason they voted with you in the first place all these years is because you've been giving them money.
Yeah.
So when the money dried up, these guys are like, okay, I'm not getting money from you anymore. So where this goes is anybody's guess. This story, like I said, we're on the first chapter of this particular book. And I think there's a lot more to be written. There's a lot more that's going to happen. And I've got my popcorn out. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
You know, you've hooked me with this particular movie. I'm interested to see where this is going to go and what ultimately is going to happen. So I don't know. It's really probably one of the most intriguing issues we've had to discuss in a long time.
On the T-shirt, have a Ford F-150 hauling Spaceship Earth down the 192, and you can see all the gift shops in the background. You can't move a theme park.
You can't move a theme park. So, all right, folks, that is going to do it for this week's episode of our show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another edition of the Diz Unplugged. Have a great week, folks.